Welcome to The Accountable Organisation. In this section on governance, we're going to talk about a few simple things that have a huge impact on the day-to-day function in your workplace. The first is simply the makeup of any committees. Committees are the bane of most management and clinicians' existence. We all would like to have fewer of them, and when we do go to meetings, we seem to spend a lot of time trying to get everyone to a common understanding of what the issues are. Now, this is not a bad thing. This kind of sense-making activity is fine, but at some point it becomes counterproductive and no decisions seem to get made. So there's a few simple rules that need to be followed in terms of how committees function. The first is simply that each organisation should recognise and sanction the committees that exist to make decisions or to advise management on decision-making matters. These committees should be clearly identified and their constitution well advertised. This doesn't stop people meeting in different forums to some other end, but it does stop the proliferation of committees. Now, one of the most important things to get right in a committee is the makeup of that committee. Each committee meeting should have 3 layers of management present. In effect, what this means is that when a manager is meeting with their team, the person that manager reports to should also be in the room. Not to interfere or to provide an overriding opinion on anything that's tabled, but simply to make sure that the common themes and directions are being maintained. This is not to suggest that each organisation is made up of disparate members who want to go their own way or undermine the management direction, but having this 3-level presence in each meeting allows clarity, transparency, and cuts down significantly on the amount of churn and rework related to misunderstanding or misdirection. Now, immediately people say, well, that just means that everyone will spend all their days in committees, but in fact the opposite effect is true. It forces people to understand that there can only be a certain number of committees, but it also decreases the need to have a committee meeting to relay a directive that cascades throughout the organisation, which often ends up being quite misshapen by the end of its journey. The next important thing to understand about committees are their function. Now, there are many ways in which committees can work, and often the terms of reference becomes almost a discussion topic in itself that consumes the committee for many meetings. In the accountable organisation, each manager is accountable for a number of tasks. Responsible means a person must do it themselves. Accountable means that you are accountable for the things that you've delegated to others. This is an incredibly powerful point to recognise. You simply cannot cut people adrift who are responsible for something that you are accountable for. When it comes to committee meetings, this dimension of accountability plays out in a specific way. It means that most committee meetings must in fact have a cabinet function. Cabinet has a specific meaning. It means that the accountable manager remains accountable, and the purpose of the committee meeting is to receive advice and views of the other people who make up the committee. It is not a democracy. Many terms of reference for committees seem to hint at a democracy, but at the end of the day, for example, if the chief executive didn't agree with a particular vote, they would most likely delay the decision or override it, which makes a mockery of the democratic process. There's nothing wrong with the democratic process in an advanced organisation, but for most organisations, a cabinet function must prevail. The terms of reference should reflect that whatever advice given is given freely and recorded and documented, but at the end of the day, the decision that arises out of the meeting lies with the accountable manager of that department, division, or organisation. It cannot be otherwise. This also means that managers who decide to go against the advice they've been given have this clearly documented in a transparent way. A further consideration in governance matters, which is often overlooked, is that the chief executive or head of the organisation is accountable for everything, but not responsible for much. What this means is that all of their accountabilities must be delegated, or at least most of their accountabilities must be delegated amongst their direct reports. And for each of their direct reports, there'll be a further need to delegate their accountabilities amongst a number of people. It is important that the purpose and accountabilities of the chief executive's position description can be found in part or in whole in each of their direct reports' position descriptions. This cascading set of accountabilities must be evident from the top to the bottom. It sounds obvious that this should be so, but very few organisations actually carry out this requirement in a meticulous way. If you have any doubts as to why your organisation is acting more like a hydra than an organisation with a common purpose, you would do well to start at the top with the chief executive's accountabilities and run an audit process to make sure that each of those is delegated down through the organisation and everyone knows what they are. Too often in modern organisations, the chief executive's position description is some secret document locked in a safe somewhere. Under these conditions, it's no surprise that no one else knows what they're supposed to be doing either. I hope you'll find these management perspectives on committee meetings and governance to be useful. For further detail, please read the chapter in the Accountable Organisation book attached to this website, and feel free to direct any questions to me or to challenge any thoughts that I've had. I wish you the best of luck